No, you're insane!
Hello, and welcome to The Madhouse, episode 96. I'm Ultimate Spy 53, the host of this podcast, and joining me for this week's episode, I have...
I'm Steve Kovoc. What's going, guys?
Hi.
Hey! My name is Kaylee. I am a person. I exist. And I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere. That's totally why, by the way, I love sand. And I am also back at it again, and I'm just gonna say hi. Because, yeah.
Cool. All right. The thing that I wanted to talk about this week was something that's been really kind of bugging me with the new movies that are coming out, like from this month and also last month, and it's the movies that look really good with the trailers, but that end up being like getting the either mixed reviews or negative reviews. I'm kind of tired of it. I was hoping we could discuss that, just a few of the reviews, and just talk about why this keeps happening to every year. So the first one, Wrinkle in Time. When I go to the Wikipedia, it says the film received mixed reviews, with critics taking issue with the film's heavy use of CGI and numerous plot holes.
Okay.
What is it with CGI these days? Come on, people.
There's a lot of elements in the movies that can't be done just with, like, without it.
But when they keep complaining about the CGI, it's like, it's CGI. It's useful.
Duh. But I don't really understand why people would have a beef with it, with Wrinkle in Time specifically, because the book itself was super outlandish.
Yeah.
It was, honestly.
It would make
was
sense
weird.
CGI for that.
I remember, I actually read the book when I was actually the teacher read it, and it was weird. I remember being like, whoa, about it.
Wow.
I know, right? That was a roller coaster, I'll tell you.
Yeah, definitely a roller coaster of a story. There are all these weird, and a lot of the things that you talked about, like scientific stuff, are actually real things, like the wormholes and stuff like that.
And the stars, Mrs. Who, Mrs. What's it, I think her name was?
Yeah. I don't know. I've only seen the trailer, so I wouldn't know yet. But yeah, I'm just like, I'm surprised because the movie trailer looks so good. I'm like, this looks like a really good movie. I do want to see it very badly. And then I got I didn't look at the plot because I didn't want to get spoiled. But like, I looked at the movie. It's like 47%. What happened to the movie? It looked amazing. And then I looked at the review. It's like, oh, plot holes in CGI. Every time it's about the plot. What the hell? It's just a movie. Just enjoy it. I don't get it. It's a book based off it's a movie based off a book, and they have to just slam the CGI. Like, oh, CGI. Everything is apparently CGI should never be used again because everyone hates it.
Well, I mean, it makes sense to use the CGI.
Yeah. But
like,
what people keep
backlashing.
backlashing.
If the book is as outlandish as it is, then expect a movie to like.
Like imagine seeing Jurassic Park 1 for the first time in 1993 when you see the theaters. That's the best CGI of the 90s. And some people didn't like that, but you compare it to CGI from the 90s to now, people are still complaining about it. Still. It's like, come on. It's not that bad.
It boggles my mind,
I don't know what is the deal with that. Like, people have a reason to complain, like, oh, it's CGI. Really? We don't need CGI. Like, actually,
totally.
Think about it.
Dinosaurs in real life.
You couldn't recreate dinosaurs without CG. It's impossible. Sometimes there's animatronics, yes, but CGI is a really important thing. And when you have a movie come out that looks really good, and then you just like, it's like, oh, everyone hates it because it has CGI in it. Oh no, CGI is the end of the world in movies. Like,
God forbid.
You can make a lot of amazing movies with CGI. Like for example, the BFG, which is a great movie I saw. That movie had a CGI character. Heck, even Star Wars had a CGI character, and I love that character. Jar Jar was he's a great character.
I mean,
kind of like that with CGI in cinema. It doesn't matter what movie it is. Everyone seems to backlash on the CGI. Not all the time, but like.
Not to mention, without CGI, we still wouldn't have Grand Moff Tarkin.
Exactly. Or I mean, I haven't seen that movie, but I have seen like the little images of what the movie had in it, and I'm like, wow, people really hate CGI, don't they? Maybe we should just not have CGI movies. Is that what people would like if they just keep backlashing movies like, oh, it has CGI in it, I'm not gonna see it.
Yeah. I hate people.
That's a poor excuse. Like, oh, it looks a good movie. Like, does it have CGI? Yeah, it has CGI. Okay, I'm passing. Let's imagine that would be a world where we live with like.
I mean, some CGI looks really good.
Yeah.
Some of it is absolutely horrendous.
Yeah. I mean, like.
It's only if the CGI is bad that I would pass up a CGI movie.
Like, for example, most of the
There's good
CGI
CGI
is
and stuff.
accomplished with motion capture. So like when you see Thanos in the new Avengers trailers and stuff like that, he looks really good because the CGI has
Right.
improved since whenever the first CGI was invented in the 90s, and people would compare that to other things like Wrinkle in Time, where they're complaining about the CGI. But CGI doesn't improve, even though people still complain about it. Like, no matter how much the industry and the movies has improved with CGI, people still complain about it. And I'm like,
People are gonna find a reason to hate.
exactly.
Everything.
It baffles me. It's like,
Funny.
what the hell is wrong
Yeah,
with
true.
people?
I mean, there's always going to be people that hate things.
Yeah, exactly. And it's
Like,
like,
no matter what, there's always going to be that one person who hates it.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I just feel like it's annoying and like,
and enjoy their lives.
don't judge me on CGI. Like a lot of things are created with CGI. Like where people do movies and stuff like that in a movie, like they're doing a bunch of. Sometimes you can tell it's CGI. Like in The Flash, there are times where The Flash does some crazy stuff that the actor wouldn't be able to do at all. Okay, that's okay with that. The CGI is okay because it isn't even that bad, because the CGI model looks like the actor. But like, that's an example of where people complain about, like, oh, CGI is terrible because you have to use CGI on everything. But it kind of depends. If the actor has training, then CGI isn't really required. Like, I remember seeing Wonder Woman recently, I had a review on it, and one of the things that I noticed heavily was one of the characters when they were diving. I'm like, okay, that isn't a real person. That's actually a CGI model. I could tell it was, but it wasn't a bad thing. It wasn't a bad thing at all, because with CGI you can accomplish a lot of things, especially with, let's say you're shooting a movie where you're editing a movie that's been shot where you have a character who's doing, like, for example, The Matrix. That was CGI.
That was
You couldn't accomplish that without CGI. It's just impossible.
You couldn't have The Matrix without CGI.
Exactly. So it's like,
This movie is like 90% CGI.
I'm hoping that one day people will just will come to like CGI more than it is now, because people seem to hate it for some reason.
That'll be the norm eventually.
Exactly. So that's pretty much all I can say about Wrinkle Time. I'm disappointed it didn't receive well, but I'm still gonna see whether or not it had bad reviews. I mean, that's the thing with bad reviews on movies. Like, you'll see it because it looks good. Doesn't matter if the reviews are bad or not, right? It's usually the way it is. Like,
if a movie looks good, I don't care about other things. That was how I was with Into Darkness and Beyond. I loved those movies, and everybody was saying, "Oh my God, Into Darkness is shit because it's got Khan." No, like no. I've already 16-page
Oh my
essay
God.
with this exact subject. Into Darkness is in no way similar to The Wrath of Khan, and even if it was, it is still a good movie.
So you can't judge a movie based off of the fact that, oh, it has less than 50% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's like, oh, it's a movie that looks good. Oh, it has less than 50% on Rotten Tomatoes. Just don't even see it. Like, no, see it. See for yourself and make sure it's being actually good. You can't just assume a movie's bad just because the reviews say it's bad.
Right.
You actually gotta see for yourself before you judge it. Like, for example, I went to see Power Rangers last year, and I have absolutely no idea what any of the Power Rangers stuff is. I hadn't even watched the original show. I knew like hardly anything. I know they were like superheroes, like teenage superheroes that got into the suit armor, that kind of thing. I didn't know anything about it, and apparently it was a bomb. I think I don't know. I went to see it. I loved it because I had no idea what was really happening in the movie. Like, I didn't know any of the characters really. I knew the basics of it, but I didn't really know what I was watching. I'm like, wow, I like this movie a lot. It's really good. So I went into seeing it blind, not knowing a thing about it, and I really enjoyed it. So it's like a thing like that where you just judge a movie based off the ratings. That's where it's like, come on, But that's really all I can say about Wrinkle in Time. That's pretty much just an example of that movie. And then Tomb Raider also got some bad reviews. I don't know what Brittany with that. Tomb Raider, yeah, the new movie. It says the film met with mixed reviews from critics, with some criticism of the plot as paint by numbers.
What?
Again, plot. What is the deal with plot?
Wait. We're talking about Terminator, like
No.
Arnold
Tomb
Schwarzenegger.
Raider.
Oh, Tomb Raider.
The new one.
Oh, that's right. How the fuck is that This is a movie based off a video game.
Yeah.
How in the hell is that cookie cutter? Like, that, what?
I don't know.
I'm flabbergasted.
I don't know why this people would, like, it's like always the plot about these movies, like, oh, the plot wasn't very good. So that's automatically makes it a bad movie? Really? Because you didn't like the plot, that's automatically makes it a bad movie, huh?
Like, no.
Really? So some guy else says, oh, yeah, the movie didn't have a very good plot, it's shit. It's automatically shit. Like, no!
I mean, here's the thing. Like, a movie is not just the plot. You have to, like, a movie's a multifaceted thing. You can't just judge it based off of any one of these things.
Yeah.
And then say, because it doesn't have X, it's it's not good, you know?
Yeah.
I think plenty of good movies don't have, like, cohesive, like, awesome plots. Like, see, it kind of reminds me of, this play. It's not really a movie, but it's called The Glass Menagerie. Yeah, and this play, it's not really, like, the strongest in plot, but it's a memory play. It's supposed to be like that.
Wow.
Yeah, and I don't know, and we don't know that these movies aren't supposed to be structured in terms of plot exactly like that.
Yeah.
Like, not necessarily that they're memories per se, but, like, that the plot isn't necessarily what the movie's about.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like a couple movies that give an example of, like, for example, bad writing, and I don't really understand bad writing, and this is like, you know,
Was what they were
Batman
saying
v
was
Superman, which
one
I
thing.
absolutely did not like when I saw the second time. I didn't, because that writing was terrible. But like, you'll see a movie like I think Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets got reviewed because it had bad writing, and all the lovers in the movie didn't have good chemistry at all. It's like,
There was
really?
this one movie,
You're judging a
too.
movie because of the writing?
What was it called?
In general, and just the writing on
It was
movies.
Jennifer Lawrence in it.
Jennifer Lawrence in a movie. When did it come out?
It wasn't The Hunger Games either. Like, it was a space movie. It was
A face movie.
it was a sci-fi. Her and this other dude were like.
Oh, Passengers?
Yes, that one.
Yeah, okay, that was a good movie. I really enjoyed that one.
It was, but then everybody was criticizing it as just a mansion love story deal.
It wasn't. It was a good movie. I had a review on it from our review show, and I expressed about how it was a beautiful tale, and it really showed what the future could be like, and it really, I loved the movie, even though it got bad reviews. I just loved it. I thought it was incredible.
Yeah, Jennifer Lawrence was damn good in it too.
They did a really good job with it, and I feel like with the movies nowadays, like, people criticize the movie and give bad reviews because, oh, it has bad writing. Really, I mean, I can't even tell with writing. Sometimes I can, like with Batman v Superman, which got awful reviews, and it was because I knew why. It's because the writing was awful. Because, oh, Batman fights Superman because Lex Luthor wants him to. What the hell? That's literally the only reason they did it, and that's a movie that got bad reviews because of that. So, just an example of a movie that gets bad reviews. But I feel like with writing, it's important. But I never really understand it. But like, I think with the reason why Tomb Raider might have gotten, you know, received less. I mean, I'm still gonna see it regardless of what other reviews say. But like, they're saying like, oh, it's probably because it's harder to adapt a video game. Even if it's a reboot video game, it's harder to adapt a video game. When we were taking a video game, whether it be a reboot of a video game or whatever, and putting to the big screen, it's difficult. It looks great, but it depends on what it is.
Yeah, it's a fundamentally different thing than a book. Like, a video game just, like, especially if you're doing, like, an MMORPG.
Yeah, like Warcraft.
Tomb Raider isn't that. But the problem with adapting a video game to a movie is that the video game, you know, it's not a book, which is usually how it goes. Usually it's book goes to a movie. But with a video game, you know, you don't have that kind of, like, detail. You're sort of put in a box, and you only have a limited amount of stuff to work with.
That's true, yeah.
So,
that's very true.
You know, if you think it's bad when you bring it from book to movie, of course it's going to be bad when you bring it to video game movie because you're already boxed in like that to begin with.
Like, for example, I went to see Assassin's Creed, like the Thursday preview night when I saw it, and I had played it. I've only played the first two games. I haven't finished the second game, but like, I had only played the first game when I watched the movie, and I really liked it, even though it got bad reviews. I think it got 18% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is pretty bad. But I went to see it, and I actually liked it a lot. It was really enjoyable, and so I thought it got bad reviews, and I just didn't understand why. I'm like, I went to see a movie, I liked it. But you have people saying it's terrible. What the hell? It was because people thought it didn't really translate well to from the video game. And I understand that, but like, still, it's not a bad movie, and I kind of think like that, where it's like they make a video game movie and it doesn't always turn out good, depending on what it is. But I don't really have a problem with it.
You can't expect a video game movie to always turn out good. I mean, if the video game is good, then it's a good chance it will. But
yeah, I just feel like a lot of the video game adaptations are just becoming, you know, complete garbage for other critics. Not to me, obviously, but like, a lot of the movies based on video games are becoming hot garbage because people just want to bash them, like, oh, it isn't anything like the video game. It's like,
sounds kind of like
not all the video games are gonna be true to the movies. Like, they can't do it right. They can't do it completely right. Like Tomb Raider, I noticed in the trailers, it doesn't match 100% with the with the game, because in the game, the whole reason Lara Croft's she got shipwrecked to the island, and then the whole part of that game was because a sun goddess was taking over the island, and one of her friends became the sacrifice. And in the movie, apparently, from the trailers at least, that is nothing like. She's searching for her father. It's nothing like the game, although it looks very much like the game. I guess it's based off the game, but like with a different plot. It's kind of that kind of thing where it's like you can.
All movies are based off the thing, whatever it is.
Like, you know, if any of the original characters in the video game, but you have the same idea, like, she gets shipped on an island. That's the only, at least as far as the trailer goes, that's the only thing I can really gather from based off the movie. I haven't seen the movie yet, but like based on the trailers, that's the only thing I can gather from what it's telling. It's very similar to the game, yes, but with a lot of modifications to it. But that's just an example of a movie that when it came, I'm like, I want to see it, but it's not. The reviews aren't very good. Whatever, you know. It's like you can't judge a movie because the reviews are bad, especially if it looks good. I mean, this movie looked amazing. It did. It looked great, and then people still think it's bad. It's like, I want to see it still. I'll definitely see it very soon, but just because the reviews say it's like less than 50% on Rotten Tomatoes does not mean it's a bad movie.
You know what I just thought? I thought it was like sort of a compromise, if you will. If the movie has bad reviews, but it doesn't look like it's a bad movie per se, what I would do, I would wait until it comes out on Blu-ray. Or like DVD, because like if it turns out to be bad, then you don't have to pay all that money to go see it.
Yeah.
It's sort of like a safeguard, so that you don't end up actually wasting money. Movies that are adapted from video games are really like within the last few years thing. Nobody's ever done that before. So you've got this massive undertaking. You got to appreciate the effort they went into to do that, because it's really, really innovative. And people are going to hate on it at first because, hey, it's new, it's different. People don't always like that. But, I mean, you can't, like, bash a film just because of small things like that.
Yeah, definitely. That's just the problem. It's like plot. It's like everyone's about plot nowadays. Like, oh, yeah, it has to have a good plot or else it's a terrible movie. It's like, not necessarily. If it doesn't have the best plot, then it doesn't mean it's a terrible movie, you know?
Exactly.
I hardly ever notice it. I hardly even notice it ever. I just like, it's just the movie. It looks good.
That was the problem they had with the Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
And now, the Phantom Menace, they were criticizing it for being irrelevant to the rest of the plot, but in fact, it actually really isn't. And even if it was, it's still an excellent movie.
It's a great movie, yeah.
Exactly.
My first movie in Star Wars.
The Phantom Menace, the genius of the Phantom Menace lies mainly in one of the chief facets of its genius is Qui-Gon. I just want to mention a quick thing here. I know it's off topic, but I have to mention this. So Qui-Gon, he is this nice, like, awesome person, right? we know about who Qui-Gon is. He is actually very important to our perception of the Jedi as a whole, because we look at him, we would expect who he is, like him, to be the norm of the order, right? Because he's awesome. He's like basically everything we would expect the Jedi to be.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But then bam, he dies, and then we actually go to meet the rest of the Jedi Order, and we realize that, oh my god, this guy who we came to love in such a short time is really, who we'd expect to be the norm, is really anything but.
Yeah.
And it really hits home just how much the problems the Order as a whole actually has, fundamentally speaking. Like, ideologically, on paper, it works, but in practice, not so much. And Qui-Gon really drives that home. So, and it's not just about the plot either, because Qui-Gon, he actually died like halfway into the Phantom Menace, so he didn't have as much bearing on the plot as he probably could have. But the characters and other things about him are still really important.
Yeah,
so
that's good writing right there. I feel like.
Exactly. So a plot isn't necessarily everything, and that's like a perfect example of that.
Yeah, definitely. That's just like with a lot of movies like that, it's just the way it is. Like writing is essential, and some people notice it. I don't. I don't even notice what my writing is. I just don't. I don't pay attention to that. I'm so focused on the movie. I don't really care about the writing of the movie. I don't notice what is and isn't bad writing. It isn't good writing. I'm more focused my attention on the movie itself. So.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway. So the next movie that got some mixed reviews just recently came out. yesterday actually, Pacific Rim Uprising, or also known as Pacific Rim 2, and it says it received mixed reviews. Some critics critics, some calling the film a tedious watch, meaning bad watch.
Watch. What is that?
I think I think the reason why people are criticizing the movie is because it's one of those things where it's like, oh, it didn't need a sequel. It should have just said the first one. Because technically it did need a sequel. Technically it didn't, but I was still interested in seeing where the story would go after the first one. And I'm glad they made a sequel, but people are like, oh, really, a second one? We didn't need a second one. Like, well, again, storytelling. It's entertaining. That'll be next, but this one it's like, oh, basically a giant Jaeger team up against a kaiju. Oh, joy, that'll be fun to see on the screen. Not some people think that, but I don't. I think it's awesome. I think I'm really looking forward to seeing when I eventually see it. But like, they just assume that it's a sequel to a movie that came out 5 years ago. Who cares? It's like.
What movie are we talking about?
Pacific Rim Uprising. It's the sequel to Pacific Rim.
Oh, Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever saw the first one. But...
The first one was actually pretty good. It was pretty epic. It had some issues, but I really enjoyed it. And they made a second one. It's not featured. There's one character missing from the first one and it's in the second one, but it's overall, for based on the trailer, it looks really awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing it. It has John Boyega, who played Finn in Star Wars 7 and 8, and also 9 eventually. But it just looks really awesome, and I don't know, it looks like it could be fun, even though it's, again, being panned by critics, because probably one of the things was like, oh, it didn't need a sequel. I don't know, Steven, did you ever see that movie, or?
No, I have not.
Oh, well, yeah, definitely, I think I would recommend it, because it's basically the classic monster movie where you have giant robots fighting monsters. Yeah. And people, I just feel like, I don't know, do you have an opinion, do you think it's reasonable for the movie to not get the best reviews, or do you think it's
Well, I mean,
not bad?
It just came out.
Yeah, it just came out, but I'm still like, even though it just came out, I'm still wondering why people are still thinking it's bad. I mean, it isn't terrible, but like people are still saying it's not very good. Again, that's from probably a perspective of people just not wanting to have a sequel. People are still like, oh, why did it need a sequel? It's like, well, it's okay to have a sequel sometimes. Sometimes movies can have a sequel and not everyone's gonna like it. But I mean, it looked really good. I mean, that's the thing. That's like, it looked really good, but people are still like bashing it. And I had no problems with the first one. I think the first one was great. I would definitely recommend it. Since you haven't seen the movie, I would definitely recommend checking it out. If you, I guess it'll probably be at a library or something. You could just find out somewhere to watch it. And it's I really recommend it, because I had a review of it and I expressed about how amazing it was, and I don't know, I feel like it doesn't deserve to be hated, because it's just a movie. So that's really all I can say about the movie, and I just wish it didn't get the backlash it did. But considering it just came out, it shouldn't get that. But again, that's the critics saying. That's the critics talking. So, let me just say there. And the next movie that also had not so great reviews was Sherlock Gnomes, aka Romeo and Juliet 2 Sherlock Gnomes. That's the other title they had. It was what we were calling it before they called it Sherlock Gnomes. And it said the science critical consensus, whatever that means, reads Sherlock Gnomes is sadly utterly stumped by the mystery of the reason for its own existence.
Oh my god, that's like
wow.
I've never heard a review like that.
I think I understand why though. It's another one of the movies like I was talking about with Pacific Rim where people didn't technically need a sequel. I mean, it's a fun movie to have a sequel. Sometimes it's okay to have a sequel, but like I don't think it needed one. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I'm just saying I don't think it needed one. Really. I don't know.
So, quick question.
Yeah.
Have you seen the first Romeo and Juliet?
I have, actually. It's been a while, but I have, actually.
I love that movie.
It was pretty fun, actually. Yeah, I enjoyed it. And
my only bone that I have to pick with Romeo and Juliet was that they portrayed the story of Romeo and Juliet as a love story.
Yeah.
But,
definitely.
It was just a bunch of horny. It was just two horny teenagers. That's all it was.
You should get the 15-year-old and the 17-year-old that caused 6 deaths. That was not. It's not a love story, guys. Sincerely, everyone who actually read the play.
But I think that the I don't know, it's a movie that I never really thought about having a sequel, because I saw the announcement of like, oh, it's gonna see like, oh, huh, okay, that could be interesting. But it got 19% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, but it doesn't look terrible. It looks like a really fun, Sony animated, movie about gnomes. It looks really fun.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it just looks really interesting. It looked like it could be really interesting. And there's also another movie that had a trailer that when I saw the trailer, I'm like, oh, yeah, I think it'll pass. It's a movie called Charmed, and it had, I mean, I guess before, I can't really tell that bad writing, but I could tell the writing was terrible. Like, the plot was just, ugh.
Wait, Charmed, like based off the TV series?
It's a animated movie about this guy who basically is, like, trying to date or win the heart of, like, three princesses, and it basically is about that, like, his journey to impress them. I don't know, something like that. It looks really cheesy and weird, but it had the comments saying, oh, the plot looks terrible. You know?
Well, yeah. I guess people are starting to really, like, hate romance movies these days, and I'm not sure why.
I don't know. I love rom-coms. They're fun. They're really fun to watch, and I don't know, like with that movie, and also with Sherlock Gnomes, people are just judging movies based off the fact that they don't need sequels. Like, oh, this movie was great enough. It doesn't need a sequel. It's like, especially, I mean, imagine a movie where you see a movie and it's like, that was great, but you never really think about getting a sequel ever. It doesn't really need one. Like, kind of like with Shrek, where the movie didn't really need a sequel at all. There was nothing more to tell about the story, and where they add a character, like they add like a Sherlock Gnomes. Like, really, Sherlock Gnomes, really, you know, that kind of thing. It's like, come on.
By Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, it's like,
Isn't it by Benedict?
I think that was Johnny Depp, actually.
Oh.
I think Benedict Cumberbatch is voicing the Grinch later this year, but
Oh my God.
Yeah. Which might actually also be a bomb. Who knows? But
whoever left, yeah.
Another, actually, a movie that I didn't really mention until I recently really realized that it might also be one of those things is Ready Player One is another movie that might also get the reviews that it's getting for this movies. Like, it might get mixed or negative reviews. I don't know why, but it might just get the reviews that it's getting the other movies from. It might get mixed reviews. I'm hoping it won't be like a movie that everyone hates.
Exactly.
It shouldn't though, because it looks great.
It becomes the Jar Jar of 2018 movies.
It looks amazing, honestly. It looks gorgeous visually.
I know, right? It's so cool.
Steven Spielberg knows how to make a
quintessential teenager movie.
But like Steven Spielberg is one of those directors. He knows how to make a movie visually appealing to the audience and visually gorgeous and beautiful and all that amazing stuff about a movie that can make a movie look good. So, I'm just excited for the movie in general. Because my brother is saying, oh, people are expecting that when it comes out, it won't really do well at all. Why? I have no idea, but that's the rumor mill I've been hearing, is that it won't do. It's gonna be another, box office letdown. But again, that's just a rumor. I mean, I hope it won't, because it looks really good.
Same.
I mean, I've got nothing but whenever I watch a YouTube video, I get either Pacific Rim Uprising or Ready Player One. Like for every video that I watch, I always get that ad. It's like, Ready Player One, Ready Player One. I get it. Just wait. Let me watch the movie first and just stop spamming with ads about it. It's like super annoying. And I will watch it when it comes out, but like.
Okay, here's my piece of advice for you. A little piece of wisdom. Okay, there's an add-on for Firefox called AdBlock Plus. Download that, and you will never see another ad on YouTube again.
Well, then I have AdBlock for YouTube, but like even with that, I still get ads. I still get the ads, and they're super annoying, especially with like. Even when I'm not watching YouTube videos, I'm watching like one of the apps on the TV show. I get ads. It's ridiculous. But like every YouTube video that I watch, I get at least one ad or two, depending on the. Like if I watch a podcast, if it has breaks, it'll always be an ad every break or whatever. It's annoying, but I don't know. I feel like people predict the movie's gonna be terrible, just because of the movie, because of how it looks, but. I'm just interested about this movie because it looks really, really good. Because it's like futuristic, and Spielberg is a very good director, and I have high hopes for it. But I'm curious to know why people would think that it would not get well received. Because I don't know. I genuinely have no idea why people would think that, because it looks great. And that's the thing about movies that I have trouble understanding why people think that movies are automatically gonna bomb. It's like, oh, this movie looks great. Oh, this movie looks gonna be a bomb. How?
Well, I personally, again, I would just say, don't believe everything you read on the internet.
Yeah.
Because movies, people are gonna think that they'll bomb. There you are, and they're not gonna actually bomb at all. Like Rogue One, I thought people thought that they were gonna bomb, and it turned out to look really good, and it would turn out to be a damn good movie.
Yeah.
Not to mention, it made Leia's opening in The New Hope that much more hilarious.
Well, I have yet to see it, but
Seriously, it did.
I will.
No.
I will wait to see that movie. I will see it, just not yet. I'm kind of I have a plan. Don't worry, I will see it, just not yet. But I just feel like a lot, so far those movies that I mean, we haven't gotten to every movie, but like those, I just feel like I wanted to address this because it's really important for the movie industry and with cinema, because a lot of movies they look good, but the people end up just bashing on them because they can, or plot, writing, chemistry, all that stuff. I just don't understand why people do it. I don't get it. Like,
because they can't enjoy their lives, and
or they think that every movie in the world that comes out every year is just automatically bad.
No, here's the problem with a lot of those movies and whatnot is that people are way over theorizing about the movie and the plot. Like they did that with The Last Jedi. They're over theorizing, and when they don't, and then they get all butthurt when it doesn't turn out to be what it was.
Yeah.
That they wanted.
It just bugs me a lot because it's like, let's say looking toward a movie that you're like, oh my god, I want to see it so bad, and then it turns out, and then let's see, you're waiting like a week after it premieres, so the crowd, either the crowd can die down, or you can just, it's just you're busy until like I'll see it about the week after it premieres. That suggests that they know that it isn't quite as crazy, and then I'll watch it. And then by the time that comes out, it's like, oh, everyone hates it. What?
Right?
Then you feel bad. It's like, I wanted to see it, but everyone's saying it's bad. Should I see it? Should I not see it? Like that's the thing. It's like you don't know whether you want to see, whether you should see it, even though it looks really, really good.
Yeah.
Like even the best trailers can end up just being awful. I can't really give a prime example, but like, just a lot of them look really like they could be really good and end up being really bad. I don't know. Like a lot of movies it just happens the way it is.
Here's the thing.
Hmm.
I'll just base it off my own opinion. Like,
Okay.
if I've already seen the movie, and then I read the reviews, I'll just go, and I like the movie, then I'll go, yeah, I like the movie, right?
Yeah.
I mean, everyone is entitled to their own opinion, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this isn't a totalitarian dictatorship.
Our allegiance is to the republic, a democracy.
It's a democracy. I have brought tranquility to my new empire.
Duel of Fates intensifies.
I love that scene. That reminds me. Before I continue, there was this hilarious post. I think I shared it on Facebook, and it's of that exact scene where Padme is confronting Anakin at the Mustafar base, and they're about to fight, and literally it's that exact scene, except it's with Sony and Nintendo.
Oh, I've seen that.
So PS4 and Nintendo, it's hilarious.
Those are good. I love that. All of the prequel memes. The prequels are meme gold.
It's so funny. That was just a post that I found, like, oh, this is hilarious. I know who will love this, because she's all about the memes. But yeah, that was just something I saw, and it brings up a good point with a lot of the movies that you just assume are great, because it happens every year. There'll be a few movies that end up being bombs, and a few movies that end up being really good. But that's just the reviewer's opinion. That's just their opinion. It doesn't mean you have to not see it. Like, I saw that I think Max Steel, came out last year or whatever. I can't remember when it came out exactly, but it came out sometime last year, I think. And it was a movie that got 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll avoid that movie then. Apparently it's really awful. I should probably not watch it then. And I haven't seen it yet because I don't think I'll like it. I think if a movie like that has 0%, meaning everybody hates it, then maybe I should just not watch it.
Or at least wait until it comes on Blu-ray to watch it.
Even then, I'm just not sure I'd risk it, because if it's a movie that has bad reviews and stuff like that, I just don't know if I should risk it. Like, I don't know. I feel like I'm getting annoyed with this whole trend of every movie that comes out every year, at least a few of them are going to be terrible. Even though they look amazing.
Well, that's just kind of how it works, man.
It is annoying. I don't think you realize how annoying that can be for a movie goer as me. I love going to see movies,
that's how things are.
It's kind of like comparing that with CinemaSins, where they pick out every movie and they find everything wrong with it. Everything wrong with it.
Yeah. Well, they have another channel to balance it out called Cinema Wins.
I know. I subscribe to that too, but like it's just annoying when they even the best movies get the worst reviews ever. I mean, not all of them do. It's like, I'm just concerned with the future of the movies that are coming out. Even the ones that look amazing, I'm concerned with what they're gonna get in review status. Just generally, if they look amazing but turns out they're terrible, then it's concerning to me. It's very concerning. Like Peter Rabbit, which is another example of a movie that looks really good. That I don't know how well it was received. I think it got like 60%, which is not bad actually. It's not terrible.
Yeah, it means it's average.
Yeah, it means it's okay. Some people liked it, some people didn't like it. It was okay kind of movie. But even then, I'm like, I think that it's the problem with like that is like people complain about the CGI a lot. Like, people complain about writing, people complain about plots,
People
anything
complain
like that.
about anything related to a movie.
Like they just assume a movie's bad because it has too much CGI on it. Like it's like kind of like compared with like honest trailers. That is, I don't know if you've ever seen an honest trailer before, but like honest trailers are meant to kind of mimic the cinema sins where they find everything wrong with the movie in a single trailer, and it's pretty funny, but also pretty sad because even your favorite your favorite movies like my favorite Star Wars movie, Episode 3, maybe even Episode 1, either one of those, you'll have 2 episodes dedicated to everything wrong with, like, you'll have everything wrong with that Phantom Menace Part 1. Part 1!
Phantom Menace.
Everything wrong with this movie. It's like, wow, and it makes me feel really sad. It's like, is this how cinema is gonna be from now on? Everybody is just gonna, like, 10 movies are gonna be terrible every year. I'm just not sure if that's gonna. If it's truly how it is, then I'm very sad to hear that, because that's just unfortunate.
Well, that's just kind of how it is. I mean, that's just kind of how
it's
movies
really
are.
unfortunate because the movie industry's always been like that, and I'm hoping that one of these years we'll have a whole year where not one movie bombs or not one movie gets a bad review.
I do really hope that year happens.
Like maybe next year with Indiana Jones 5. At least it is technically happening next year. It's happening 2020, but they're filming it next year. I'm hoping like we're getting a lot more movies next year, and I'm hoping that some of them will actually be good. I'm challenging the cinema industry to have at least one year, 1 year where they have no movies that bomb or
they can't control that,
have bad reviews. I'm just hoping. I mean, I can't predict that, but I'm hoping it happens because I don't know about you guys, but I'm tired of it. I'm tired of watching finding out that this amazing movie is actually quite terrible.
Well, if you consider it amazing, then it's not really that terrible.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. I just feel like it's just happening a lot.
If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't.
And it's like a lot of the Marvel movies. Like you'll have a movie that's like, oh, this is one of the best movies ever, or it's one of the worst movies ever. It's like, it really isn't. It's actually pretty good, and it turns out it's like I think
it's like your opinion, man.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between on Rotten Tomatoes. There's a 2 meters. There's Rotten Score. There's also Metacritic. There's a difference between the two of them. But there's also like I think Certified Fresh means it's an excellent movie, and Rotten means it's terrible. I don't know really, but
I think Certified Fresh means that people actually really liked this movie and that it was actually, like, all things considered, really good. Whereas Rotten means it was not a good movie. But that's just their opinion,
Yeah, like some movies get like awful reviews, and I'll watch them, and I'll actually like them. Like I remember a movie they got I think it was a 2.5 out of 10. It was called Son of the Mask, and I watched it. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. I thought it was okay, It's like some movies out there, you'll see the reviews, you'll be like, I'm gonna give it a shot, see how it is, and it turns out it isn't awful, but it also isn't great.
It's not great either.
Like, I was like, I enjoyed it to some extent, but it wasn't my favorite. Like, there were some scenes that I didn't really enjoy seeing, but not, as for that, it was not bad.
2.5 out of 10.
It's like that, but that's all I can say. I'm just worried that this is gonna happen to movies from now on every year, and it's gonna, like, especially this year, what we think we're gonna have, like, 4 or 5 movies this year have bad reviews. It just concerned me. It's like, I'm not saying the movie industry, like, this year will have had movies that are terrible. I'm hoping that we won't run into more of them. I don't know. It's an opinion, but
I wish the same, but realistically, it's probably gonna happen.
Not gonna happen.
What's not gonna happen?
There's not gonna be 1 year where everything's perfect.
That's
Maybe
true.
I got it.
That's true. That brings up a good point. Yeah. I don't think movies are gonna be perfect ever, but
nothing else.
I just feel like that we should have at least one year where we have some good movies, you know?
Well, we
Well, every
do.
year has some.
Yeah, like some people like think, oh, this
Don't
movie's
have
great.
some.
I think that the point I'm bringing is I'm tired of people automatically assuming that a movie's terrible after they watch it when the trailer looks amazing. Because trailers have a language. They speak a language that makes it a movie that's like, oh my god, this trailer looks amazing. I want to see this movie, and then it's like, wow, great. It's like,
Yeah.
and they exaggerate. It's like, oh, it was really that great. Not really. And it's like they just lie. It's like, yeah, it was.
We're meant to sell the movie.
It was great. Yeah, it was just like,
Yeah.
and that's because they're trying to sell the movie, trying to make it like, oh, it's trailer for the movie. It looks awesome. This movie looks incredible. It's like, oh, by the way, yeah, I wouldn't recommend watching it. You would not be impressed by that kind of movie. It's like, you know, but like I said before with the video game movies or the book movies, that's
Yeah.
where the movie hurts the most when they're adapted movies, especially when they're adapted movies, because adapting is very hard for a movie, depending on what it is. But it's gonna be very hard, especially if you're adapting from a game, a board game, or a video game. It's difficult.
Exactly.
It's very difficult to do that. And it makes sense for why a lot of movies don't do so well when they're adapted. I mean, adapted from different things, like a movie, a movie just from a original story, or a book. Most of them are based on books, but like, I don't know. I'm it's interesting to see what people's opinions are of that. So that's really all I can say about that. Is there anything else you guys wanted to discuss about this topic, or are you good?
Not
I
really.
think we're pretty much good.
I think
Yeah.
we've covered everything about that.
Yeah.
Any last thing? Any last opinion about this this topic that you wanted to cover? Like, what are your thoughts about this? I don't know what else I can say.
No, I think we pretty much covered it.
Think so? Okay, well, yeah, I think that I'm just hoping that the movies for the rest of the year are gonna be good. Let's hope. We can't predict it, but let's hope.
I'm very optimistic about that Solo movie.
Oh yeah,
That looks damn good.
because they did. I think they removed the guns from that poster, which I'm like a little like, okay, that's a little weird, you know.
I'm kind of on the fence. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I mean, blasters are a part of the Star Wars universe. Like,
Yes.
they have been since the 80s.
Yeah.
You know what
Correct.
I'm saying? 70s. So, it doesn't really make much sense that they would remove that from the trailer when, Han is a smuggler. Blaster is practically like an extension of him. And this
Yeah.
is a movie about Han. So I'm not entirely sure how I feel about that, but I mean, if it works, it works. But that just means that the ones with the gun in it are actually going to be a lot more valuable in the future because, hey, they've changed the poster. That's kind of how it was with Revenge of the Jedi.
Yeah.
They changed that to Return of the Jedi, I
Yeah.
think.
I said actually.
Revenge of the Jedi.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Originally.
original title
Return of the Jedi.
for Return of the Jedi was Revenge of the Jedi.
Yeah. It was.
Oh,
And
right.
those posters are super popular, or not popular, but they're rare now and they're worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's gonna happen with this one.
I don't know. I mean, I kind of wanted to elaborate for one final time about Solo. To kind of wrap up here, and that's another movie that also I've heard it might also not do well. It might not receive well at the box office because of how it's been. I don't know what. I think maybe the directors that they're. I think they recently came out and said the directors aren't going to get credited. The original directors are not going to get credited for making the movie. And maybe that's why, but like I've been hearing a lot of things about that it's people are saying it might not do well, like it might not be successful. But that's just what I've heard. Even though it's a Star Wars movie in that universe, the people are still saying that it might not break records. It might do really poorly at the box office, but that's just what I've heard. So we'll have to wait and see about that when we actually get the movie when it actually arrives. But until then, we can't know for sure. We can just speculate. We can just be like, oh, maybe it's true, maybe it's not true. We don't know. We can't know. How will we know? It hasn't come out yet, but that's what people are saying. So anyway, yeah, I think that's gonna be it for this episode. Again, is there anything else you guys want to discuss, or are we good?
No.
Okay, well, I think that's gonna be do it. Yeah, so thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of The Madhouse. We hope you enjoyed listening to it. If you did, please hit the like button. We all really appreciate the support. And if you're to the channel, subscribe for more episodes of this podcast and other series that I do. Also, make sure you hit that notification bell so you can be alerted when new episodes of this podcast come out. What was that?
I said hashtag notification squad.
Oh, yeah. And we will be back next time with another episode. Alright, bye-bye.
Hasta la vista.
High ground, gifts, and posts be with you all.